Setting it up.
Yeah, it even says it. It's like live streaming now on Facebook. Ooh. All right, you there? Let's roll.
I bet. Here we go. What's happening? We back again. We back again, man. On here.
Young Reed.
What up?
Malcolm, it like when you lean up a little bit and you showed your little logo with the stuff, like you look like a like a graduate assistant, defensive back coach at like a D3 school, D3 football school, like the only black coach on staff, You know what I'm saying? Like they had to hire you because of, they needed a black guy, you know what I'm saying?
Right now though, bro. Why are you doing that?
You ever seen them coaching staff? So they got one black dude and you're like, come on, man.
I'm on one of them.
But no. I'm just saying. Man, when we was at Valley, our first year we had like 5 white coaches.
Oh yeah, we did. No, who
Schrader, remember the GA Schrader? And then you had Smithers. And then you had
Coach Davis was his name?
Davis. Y'all used to say I was Coach Davis Jr. because he used to always be scratching. Who was the other guy? We have 4. We have one more.
I think that was it. I think that was it.
All right.
What's happening? To everybody, all 6 of y'all who are here. I can't see any of who they are, but man, it's good to be back on the show though.
Mm-hmm.
Good to have it back going. Life hits you quick, boy. You think you got something going on, and then boom, ain't got time.
This guy's got like a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, Malachi make 3 next week.
This man be falling asleep and stuff, taking naps at like 9 at night. He don't. My kids are old, so he's just now going through it. He ain't got time to work out no more.
My workouts in practice, bro.
That's right. That's a perks of being a coach. The perks of being a coach. Right?
But I gotta like get in there and show the cone drills and the footwork. And then when I'm like working on my passing game with my running backs, I like do drop backs and rollouts and like quarterback escape drills.
Like there was one point where I was, I'm always showing my kids like how to do things, what to do. Mm-hmm. There was one point where I was doing it and like I slipped, felt something kind of tweak in my hamstring. I was like, dang. And that was a few years ago. And from then on out, like I will thoroughly stretch before I do anything because I don't want to be embarrassing myself, trying to look all cool and stuff and be just, pulling hammies.
It ain't like when they start warming up, I go ahead and start getting loose, Mm-hmm. And I ain't going out there unless I'm loose, We at that age, bro. I can't afford like you just said. We got I got a 3 and a 4-year-old. Got a torn ACL and can't move.
You imagine if you was like trying to show a kid how to run a route and you planted and your ACL gave out. Now you on the ground holding your knee.
Oh man, I might retire.
Now you on crutches for the rest of the season. You can't coach football on crutches, though.
I might actually shut it down, bro.
So you got to be careful to any.
Yeah, but I'm good on that. Like my footwork, I done them drills 1,000 times. Like I know how to play, and I ain't going that fast anyway. Mm-hmm. Even when I was young, I really couldn't go that fast. So, when you're a slow dude, you can, get your footwork right a lot better. So, like I don't have no worries about that. But baseball practice makes it a lot easier on you. You ain't got to do all that. You just hit the ball, field it, throw it. Right. That's fun. Mm-hmm. You can get a lot of reps at batting practice and fielding drills, but other than that, it's all good.
Well, all right, man. So
ready to get to it. We got but
All right, cool. We got to continue with our trend, Young Reed, of seeing how well you know your music.
Yeah.
I'm steadily putting on favorites, classics, but stuff that we used to ride to when we was like college. You know what I mean? Stuff that you turn me on to, I turn you on to. Anyway, I'm gonna play 2 songs for you real quick. Instrumental only. I'm gonna give you 20 seconds this time.
All right.
So you gotta let it play.
Instrumental only. Okay, no worries.
Instrumental only. So,
right.
And you gonna, and then after that, I'll throw a question of the day at you. All right.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Instrumental only. And
Oh yeah. They right. Turn it up. Turn it up. We do not own the rights to this music.
never.
All
right, who you got?
Fools, listen to music, or do you just skim through it?
So
Over M. Since I'm
Renegade.
Kids and they listen, I ain't no politician, but I kick it with them a minute.
Here's what I'm saying. Did you know M produced? Did you know M produced that too?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's when he first started making beats and stuff.
All right. Here's the next one. So I don't think you missed one yet. This is one of my all-time favorites. I honestly like this song better than the one I just. All right, here we go.
Ooh. Oh man. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up some more. Is 20 seconds up yet already?
But I'm gonna let it go. All right,
Oh man, that's Styles P. Gangsta and a Gentleman album.
That's right.
Nobody Believes Me is the name of the song.
Beautiful, right?
That's one of the best songs ever, bro. That's like one of my top 10 probably favorite rap songs of all time. At least
you turned me onto that album and the locks and that whole like
D-Block.
Styles P highly underrated.
Highly underrated.
I honestly, a lot of people have Jadakiss up there. I kind of like Styles P a little bit better than Jadakiss.
No, I'm a Jada guy.
That was a reach.
Styles is a very underrated.
He is. All right, so all right, here we go. So before we get into what's going on in Mississippi, I'm gonna ask you a question, Reed.
All right.
You ought to know this, man. You're a history teacher.
I'm on my history, man.
Okay. All right. How many current Black governors do we have in the United States of America?
Oh, that's not history. That's current. But I'm gonna take a guess. Black governors. Oh. 2. 0. See, that's me giving America more credit than it deserves.
Now listen. I'm not saying we have to have a Black governor, but surely there's some states that are predominantly Black, and most major cities, maybe.
Right.
We talked about Jackson, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, per capita, we're like top 3 more Black people in any city in the United States, right?
Right.
Anyway, so 0 Black governors, young Reed. So with that being said,
I thought about saying 0 too. I really did. It was like I knew it had to be less than 3 for sure.
So with that being said, it would appear to be, for certain laws and things that get changed, it probably a lot harder, right?
One would think.
And I mean,
one would think for sure.
There's a larger Hispanic population in America than there is Black people. You wouldn't know it though.
Well, it's like that's what on paper, that's kind of what it is. That trend has kind of been coming.
Right.
You saw that for facts, like, because I knew it was getting close, but I don't know if it had actually passed it. And then you got the documented and undocumented,
Well, that's what.
And
but there's more undocumented, Hispanics than everybody out there. All right, so anyway, yeah, that's my songs in question for the day.
All right, dang, I missed one. I missed another question.
I missed a question, man.
Oh, but I thought about you the Stone Mountain thing, because they had like a group of black dudes out there like yesterday calling the KKK out, like, we right here, we in your backyard, come get us. They went to Stone Mountain, and it was like,
I saw that, and they were heavily armed. I don't really like the whole harassment, because that could have been my mom and dad, 25 years ago, just taking me to a Braves game and to see the light show at Stone Mountain. You know what I mean? Not having any sort of, real true. I mean, who knows? Who knows how many families show up to Stone Mountain with the mindset of, we're here to honor these, Confederate soldiers and generals and stuff. But anyway.
Yeah, so I looked it up. The percentage of Hispanic or Latino citizens in the United States is 18.5%. 13% black and 76% white.
Yeah. So, and yeah. But anyway, so 0 black governors. All right, what you got for me?
All right. I hope you can hear it, but I got a song for you already.
Okay.
From one of my favorite groups that I like, a bunch of white guys.
You probably listen to more white music than I do. That's Red Hot Chili Peppers, Aeroplane.
Yeah, that's my jam. Like, that song that's kind of easy for you, bro. I'm trying to.
But I know Red Hot Chili Peppers. My sister's 10 years older. I was kind of read on some Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Some people say I even look like Anthony Kiedis when I let my hair grow long and shave my beard. Anthony Kiedis?
I can see that. I can see that a little bit.
A little bit? No?
I can see it a little bit. He ain't as popular as Flea. Most people who know Flea. Flea was a big Kobe and Lakers fan too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me go to the next one. I'm right now. Hold up.
Yeah, Anthony, my sister turned me on the Red Hot Chili Peppers, of course. Blood, Sugar, Sex Magic, like that was the one,
Classic.
Give It Away was probably the first song that really caught my eye and caught my attention.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead put me on a lot of rock, man. That's where I got most of it from.
Did you ever see the movie Beavis and Butthead Do America?
Did I? Come on now. Oh, yes, indeed. Hey, Beavis and Butthead was like really a important time in my life. Show.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to like honing my sense of humor.
It was funny, man. It was funny.
All right. A long time, but I got you.
So you got one more song for me?
Yeah, I got one for you, man.
All right.
All right.
That's Foo Fighters. Everlong, of course. So my favorite Foo Fighter song is My Hero.
My Hero, your favorite?
Varsity Blues, man. I first heard that, I went crazy, son.
That's my my song right there, man.
All right.
Foo Fighters.
I like Foo Fighters. Yeah.
In your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like for real. I saw them at Jazz Fest and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I'm a bigger Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, but as far as the show, Foo Fighters got them.
I think Dave Grohl has a better voice than Anthony Kiedis. Red Hot Chili Peppers are musically very talented, but so are Foo Fighters for that matter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Dave Grohl. I like Dave Grohl's his voice. Anyway, you got a what's next for me? What question you got? I don't think I've gotten like one question right the whole time.
My question for you is, who killed Alexander Hamilton in a duel?
Aaron Burr.
Aaron Burr. Hey, I had to make sure you got one you knew, bro.
Aaron Burr.
You remember that commercial from back in the day with the milk? The milk commercial.
Yeah. I don't remember the details, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like the dude got the call. It was like he was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he was working in a Alexander Hamilton museum. And it was like he called into the radio.
Oh yeah, and he couldn't talk.
Aaron Burr.
That's crazy. So I remember that.
He could have just get it out, but he was like grabbing the milk carton and no milk was left.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah.
That was got milk. That's
but
that's
I watched
good.
Hamilton. Just like today and yesterday, I finished it. Bro, it's so good. Like I really love it. Like if you got Disney Plus, watch Hamilton, dog. It's like a combination of U.S. history, hip hop music, just music in general, and theater. Three things that I love. It was raw.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, so listen, man, we're gonna hop right into it.
All right, let's go.
I've been staying in touch, keeping you updated about the flag situation here in Mississippi, or some people say Mississippi.
The SIP.
Some people even say the SIP.
I'm one of those people.
But Mississippi, we
let's go.
I've been staying in touch. Double sound.
My bad, I got you. It's all.
A lot of monuments have been coming down, Confederate monuments, but mostly it's been about the flag change, and they finally put it into ruling. They actually took down the Mississippi flag from the state capitol, and for a lot of Black people that I know, there was a lot of Black people there. It reminded me of when Obama got elected, like a lot of like the reaction that a lot of Black people had when that moment, it was almost like, they could care less about anything that was going on, but they were so like, engulfed in that moment. And there was a lot of people like that too. So yeah, I think they've got several flag designs that we'll vote on, I think, later this year, which is good. It's a good thing that it's finally come down. We've since had a unity protest. They called it a unity protest in a fairly large city, suburb of Jackson called Brandon, Mississippi. My parents actually owned a business there for 30 plus years. I've lived there, and a lot of great people there. It's just a wonderful city. But there were some people there just expressing their views that they wish they would have kept the flag up, and it was, heritage, not hate, and all history matters, and things like that. And at the rally, there were people there with their Confederate flags. There was a lot of armed citizens walking around. There were Black people, white people, but it was peaceful. Reed, nobody got literally. Reed. There were maybe 20 plus people walking around that had concealed carries.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody fired a gunshot. Everything was peaceful, and that's how it should be. You know what I mean?
I got a question for you real quick.
Okay.
Is Mississippi an open carry state?
I don't know exactly. I would assume it was, because there were a lot of people walking around with guns.
Open carry? Okay, well, yeah.
So
because Louisiana is too. That's why I was asking. But
I mean, there's a weird ruling like concealing carry, or anyway, or you can't have it concealed. I guess is that I think that may be right. There's an open carry law, but
then you should have a conceal. You gotta have a permit.
Right. But anyway, so just seeing all this, like, place I used to live that I know very well. There's a lot of good people there, but like I said, man, it's one of those places too where there's a very small population that is deeply rooted in Confederate Southern heritage and traditions, right? I saw a kid, could have been as young as my son, maybe younger, around 13, waving a Confederate flag. And he had a sign that said heritage, not hate. And I'm just thinking like, like,
You don't even know what he's doing.
Like he doesn't. And there was a much, much older lady, much older, it had to have been in her 80s. And her sign said, all history matters. So as a grown man, let me take you back 30 years ago, Malcolm. 30 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. I could barely see over the counter in my dad's office supply store, which is right in almost the very middle of downtown Brandon, right at the intersection, really close to the courthouse.
I remember, stopping by your dad's place.
So my dad had, 3 at the time. He had, I think, 4 employees, of course, Ed and Rob, who were Black, and then Trisha and Susie. And they're white, if you can tell by the names. Trisha and Susie. Susie was actually mixed. I think Susie was actually mixed. But anyway, I have vague memories of the KKK leading a march through the streets of downtown Brandon.
Through the streets in 1990, right?
Yeah.
1990.
Read. This was legal. And I had no idea what was happening. No idea. Right. I just remember thinking like, why are all these people in white hoods walking down the street, and what are they walking for? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I don't remember my mom or dad being there as they were coming by. I don't even know if they knew about it. I don't remember Ed and Rob being there. But looking back, I'm thinking, man, like this was 30 years ago. This ain't the 60s. This was the 90s.
90s, bro.
And yet there was, I don't know, I don't want to lie and say it was 100 of them. There may have been 30, right?
That's plenty.
But how many of those people either have kids or grandkids or were at that unity rally, the other day in Brandon without their hoods on? Why?
Oh snap! For real, man.
I'm saying if they were, they're at a rally, but they're not dressed up.
They could have been at both of them.
That's what I'm saying. It was just 30 years ago.
At both of them.
So, and that kind of brings me to the point of like the young kid has no clue.
Exactly, just like you.
And no, but
he participated. No, you was just.
I was just in the store and saw it. I'm just saying when the KKK went by, the little march, and there was no violence that happened then. But can you imagine if Ed and Rob was chilling in the store and they saw that, like what that means to them? Imagine all that. And there's Black business owners across the street from my dad's, and a lot and there's a predominantly Black neighborhood within a mile of where they started their march. You know what I mean? At the courthouse. And it's just crazy to think about. None of those members had their hoods off.
Right.
Which, if you're marching in fully gear, dressed up, and you don't want no one to know who you are, it's either because deep down you're ashamed of it, or you're fearful of someone knowing who you are. And that's that's being a coward to me.
Yeah, for sure.
As being a coward.
Man, like, be proud and own it. You know what I'm saying? Like, own it. You so proud. It's your heritage. You flying the flag and all that. You should be like, my granddaddy fought in this war and passed me down this flag on this battlefield.
Right.
And I'm standing up
but you don't hear that, man. It's disguised. It's disguised with the flag and with the Confederate monuments. You know what I mean? Right. But, to say that all history matters, man, like, of course it matters, but like, what are you saying? You trying to just jump on the back of Black Lives Matter and say that all like people go, you know what, man? You're right. It all does matter.
Everything always matters.
It does matter, but that doesn't mean that
we still celebrated the 4th of July yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So today is not about that. Mm-hmm. So let that, let's let that be for the time being. If you want to see it in a museum, like, I ain't saying that there should be no Confederate memorabilia in the world, and whatever is there in its history, it's historical artifacts. It
still needs to be a part of history, but it just doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be memorial, like in a memorial, or
recognized as or acknowledged as something that you should be proud of, or something that you should salute. Like, the flag gets saluted. Right. Who's saluting the Confederate flag?
Mm-hmm.
Who and why? Like, if my dad wants to salute the American flag after fighting in Vietnam for it, then that's his right. And that's one thing. That's something that's still flying, and that's a whole nother conversation we could get into on that. But the Confederate flag, like, come on, bro, they lost.
Well,
just like other people who lose don't get to still be, in putting those signs in your symbols in your face.
Mm-hmm. Well, the good thing is that it's changed, and I think it says a lot about Mississippi in general, because I really truly believe that the majority of people here, like I said, Jackson has, per capita more Black people that live in it than almost anywhere in the U.S. So, right. The race issue is in our face, and it's almost like we don't feel the same way about one another the way the whole country views us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think for the most part, we're past that. And the majority of people, Black and white, we're ready to, put this behind us. And I think it's good for future generations. But yeah, just the whole, the fact that 30 years ago, they were having this legalized KKK march to express their beliefs is just, I can't fathom it now as a grown man to think that happened within my lifetime. You know what I'm saying? That I was a little kid, and to think of how many families were breeding their kids to know that this is the way that we're going to live our life.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Mandalorian.
You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. I mean, but bro, it don't surprise me at all. Like, it's still like, dang, like that happened. You saw that when you were 6 years old. But, as crazy as it is, it's not, nothing surprises me about racism in America or racist people, because I'm pretty sure I heard about them having like a Klan rally in Greenwood when we was in school. Or like the people from,
I don't know.
The people in Greenwood who were saying that, yeah, they do that all the time.
I don't know if it's been made illegal or not. I don't want to say whether or not it is, but it's just like I said, I don't, like I said, it didn't affect me, but in that moment, there's a lot of people, Black fathers, white fathers, mothers, they have a decision to make in that moment. When little kids go, Daddy, who are those people out there walking?
Right.
And just like what's going on right now.
Like, either way, and based off what you get told, your life will go into, two completely different directions.
Mm-hmm.
From the way you look at people and the way you treat people, just based off the color of their skin. So the fact that people teach their children to treat people differently based on the color of their skin alone, and it happens on both sides, but obviously if it's a white person, then they have the power to, they have a position of leverage where they could do stuff to Black people and get away with it more likely than if a Black person was to do something and actually, like, not get away with it, especially if you're the police or something like that.
I know, but in terms of this situation, don't white people have more leverage also to flip it to the good side of things too? You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
there, I think it's more about, white people expressing those good values than it is black people saying, listen, man, we got to give these white people a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know they didn't do this, like,
Right.
but like you said, man, it's just that's just the culture. But like I said, if that happened today in my city or even wherever, if there was a march, best believe I'm gonna be right there with you. And we if they're marching one way, we're gonna be meeting them right here.
I already know you down the ride, but look, I honestly don't want to have nothing to do with any, you know what I'm saying? Any kind of, if the Klan marching, I ain't trying to be around that. I rather see it on TV than to see it in person.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Because I don't know what could happen.
No,
And
man,
honestly, what's most important to me is getting home to my children. You know
mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And being with my family. So like, uh, if they got to bring it to my doorstep for me to be able to, for me to really be wanting to react. But other than that, I ain't even got time to deal with the ignorance that comes from it. But to your point about, the importance of white parents and white communities in general, and people who live within them who don't interact with black people a lot, it's very, very important that they, like, if first of all have empathy and understanding of history and the experience of what it's like to be a black person in this country, and
Mm-hmm.
then try to educate their, pass that down to their kids, and just say, hey, you judge people by their deeds, not the color of their skin. It's really simple to just treat people how you want to be treated, and if they don't treat you that way, you know you don't have to deal with them. You could try to separate yourself from the situation. But it's really, it's as simple as that sounds. It's not always simple to do for some people, because they worried about what their friends might think. They worried about alienating themselves from
Mm-hmm.
family members. And man, I've been so proud and impressed of a lot of my white friends that I've seen on Facebook, like basically losing family members, like being disowned publicly on social media by their family members. And it's not a thing that, we're not at, no one's asking these people to do this. They just want to do it because they feel like that's what's right in their heart. And I got nothing but total respect for that. But
Well,
some of
I have a lot of respect for people, protesters on both sides. Like, there's so many people that only sit behind a screen, and the fact that these people are willing to put themselves out there
mm-hmm.
for their cause is it's important. And if not for, a lot of people think, the Mississippi State football player Kylan Hill, like he openly stood up and was like on social media, like, I'm not playing for Mississippi State football if we don't get this flag changed. And that was huge. Like, he's from Mississippi.
What part he from?
Come on, Reed, don't put me on the spot.
I mean, just asking. If you don't know, you don't know.
Columbus. Maybe Columbus.
Okay, that's like Central Mississippi, kind of.
No, northern. It's like 30 minutes from Starkville. But I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But Kylan Hill, all SEC caliber running back. Everyone knows who he is that watches, football, and that made national news. Like, he was on ESPN. But what was crazy is that, why does it take a black star running back to invoke change when people have been talking about that for years? But when this stuff starts getting affected, people are like, wait,
right.
Wait a second.
What? Just, obviously the flag has changed now. That pretty much, it had been up for debate for years, and then that pretty much was the straw that broke the camel's back. And now, it's up for the final vote, right?
Yeah. Did you care as a black man? Do you care about the Mississippi flag? I mean, is that a big deal to you?
Yes and no. Actually, no, not a big deal. Like,
How many black people in America don't even know that like that's happening right now in Mississippi? You know what I'm saying?
this is the thing. It doesn't really necessarily affect my life directly, but
But you
do
don't
I
drive around Mississippi.
do I mean, if I look at the Mississippi state flag, Mississippi is my second home. You know what I'm saying? I got love for the SIP. Everybody know that. But so I look at that flag and it's like just disrespectful. Like, look at that. I can't respect the state the way I really want to while that flag is. I can't salute that flag, basically, like I was saying earlier. Like, I can't salute that because that if those people who flew that flag had their way, and based off their belief, I'm an inferior person to them. Like, I don't have the intellectual capacity to learn and to speak and to read, complex literature or anything like that. Like, the fact that they truly believe that we are inferior just based off the color of our skin, and they hired scientists to try to prove this point, multiple times. And just like that 13-year-old who was out there flying that flag, he probably being told that, all black people do is complain about everything. They don't get their way. They just complain. And they just not smart. And, yeah, they can run them and jump and do basketball and football. So we'll let them on our teams, but that's all they good for. So that's what's represented by that flag, by the Confederate battle flag. So I'm glad that it's getting removed because I don't think it needs to be there. But as it applies to me personally, not truly the biggest of deals directly in that sense.
I mean, where's the line going to be drawn and what's next? I mean, we talking about Stone Mountain. We talking about the Ross Barnett Reservoir that people are still quiet about. We talking about baseball teams. Reed, I told you, it's just like this. People they got to get on it while it's hot. I mean,
right.
But some people are taking it to a whole nother level. I told you about the Japanese girl meme I saw. Where it's a little Japanese girl she's sitting in a little sandbox playing, right? And she's probably like 2. And the title reads, "She owes me an apology for Pearl Harbor." And I'm like, come on, man, what? Like, how?
So you said she was like 2 years old, like a baby?
It's just a meme someone created.
I know, but how old did the little girl look on the meme though?
As young as Malachi.
Oh my God.
So someone's trying to compare the fact that, like, they're trying to say that we know what they're trying to say. They're trying to say, well, black people complain about what happened hundreds of years ago. So they put this thing out saying, so Asians, and who knows, like this girl, she could have been like South Korean or something. You know what I mean? No, like someone just threw it up there.
Oh man.
And so now they trying to compare apples to oranges, peaches to plums,
A little bit you say you can compare fruit, like there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm just saying, like,
But I feel you though. Like
people are like, where's the line going to be drawn though, Reed? Like people just they're like, yeah, they need to apologize to us if the blacks.
All right, yeah. So,
you know what I'm saying?
So Japanese people need to apologize to Americans. Yet we still didn't have any problem dropping atomic bombs on cities and civilians in Japan. Like, okay,
but that's war. That's 2 different places.
So Pearl Harbor is war too, and
you can't compare war as to a united nation. That's divided. You know what I'm talking about? That's different.
It's enslaving people. It's its own citizens, and not even really calling them citizens.
Right, but
not citizens. Really, your property.
Right. But anyway, so I mean, they're gonna change the Indians' name, Redskins' name. Do they need to?
All right. So yeah,
the Braves, Indians,
Redskins, and the logo seems pretty. Like that ain't really that good.
But you don't think it's a way of honoring them? Like, you know what I'm saying? We're putting them out there as like, is a Redskin a racist term though?
Yes.
Here's the thing.
That's what they was called. I mean,
Hold up, read.
Yes, I say yes. I stand on that.
But we called them Indians, and this wasn't India.
What even?
Okay? Christopher Columbus was like, y'all are Indians, right? They're like, this ain't India, dog. That's a whole nother place.
Thomas, he the worst ever. Christopher,
Like,
I'm gonna tell you two people who like are the worst ever in the world that I think. My top two. I could name some more. Christopher Columbus and J. Edgar Hoover. I hate these dudes, bro.
You didn't know.
Here's number 3, King Leopold from the Belgium. You might not know who that is. They don't
Are these all white guys that you hate?
All white guys, man. White genocidist. Okay. J. Edgar Hoover didn't commit genocide, but he did do COINTELPRO and pretty much was like all about hating on black people no matter what. Even when we try to do things right. Black people doing good, we got to stop that.
Wait. Let's get back to the Indian discussion.
Okay, back to the
we call these people Indians, and then like hundreds of years later, we still call them Indians until someone was like, "Whoa up, it's Native Americans." The natives, right?
Bro.
But I'm saying, we name baseball teams after them. And they ain't even really Indians, dog.
You got the Indian. You got Astroma High School is the Indians too, and they play on the reservation.
That's what they call it.
And Astroma High School was pretty much all white from the beginning. Like it turned on because of white flight. But this school was created, for us, by us, for white people. All right, and yeah, it was like my neighborhood that I grew up in was all white at the beginning.
Actually, black people were the ones that came up with FUBU, so don't try to put that on my race.
Astroma High Indians, and they said that we gonna play on the reservation. Come on, man. Remember when we was when we was in the elementary school and you had to sit Indian style?
In a circle.
Yeah.
In a circle. But they weren't Indians. Dog, why we're getting off on another topic here. But why was it that the Cowboys were always the good guys and the Indians were always the bad guys? You know what I'm saying?
You know why?
They were
and here I'm about to go on another tangent because most of the Cowboys was black too. But I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
You gotta listen and watch Baz Reed. Look him up.
But also, anyway, just we don't know where the line's gonna be drawn, and we won't know for a while. But with Kyle, going back to what Kylan Hill said, black athlete standing up. He had his platform and he used it. Like, I got to give the kid props. I mean, that takes a lot of guts, you know what I mean, to do that.
Colin Kaepernick pretty much, got that. Kind of was the first. Well, he wasn't the first. He was the most recent one to really get the black athlete on speaking on social issues again. Like that, it happened.
Right.
Big time.
But I mean,
you would have little guys here like Craig Hodges and Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, but for the most part, it kind of like went away.
Wait. Time out. Did you say Muhammad what?
Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Right. He
Chris Jackson.
From
Mississippi.
Okay.
What school he went to? What high school?
Somewhere on the coast.
Okay. Yeah, he was a coast boy.
Dude, he averaged like 30 points a game in high school.
LSU, baby. He went to LSU.
All right. Okay, so just talking about the black athletes platform, right? Like the Kaepernick, Kylan Hill's thing is, to me, I feel like that kind of stuff hits home because he's saying, let's do this and get this changed now.
Right.
Which it happened. Kaepernick's was more of recognition of what's I want to this is what bring awareness, right? Mm-hmm. But black athletes make up the majority of professional football, basketball, and even college sports at the large universities. They make up a huge majority. So they have a lot of control because if they go on strike and don't play, there's plenty of if all the black athletes are like, we're not going to any predominantly white universities. They could still, the white universities would still have enough, athletes or whatever to fill whatever, fill the rosters. But we've seen a shift and it started with you told me about the kid from Howard who committed to Howard University, right? The basketball player, he's like a 5-star recruit, and black athlete. Like, that takes guts, man. Like, he's saying, you know what? I'm not going to give my money to UCLA. Like, I'm going to Howard. And now people are talking like they're gonna make the tournament and upset some people and stuff. Like, but so here's my thought on it, right? So he could have went to UCLA and may have just been another number, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he can go to Howard and become like legend status. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And use his platform for great things. The HBCUs, man, like it's they've been struggling, and this in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
10, 20 years. They've kind of
decade has been tough. I think since about 2005, 6-ish, like
Mhm.
really like it was peaking during our days. This ain't to brag. But there was some, like the teams that Denmark played with at Grambling, bruh, it was so much talent on them teams. It was ridiculous, and we had a lot of talent, even at Mississippi Valley, for us to have back-to-back winning seasons, something that hadn't been done since Rice and Titan and hasn't been done since, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but Reed, we were sending 5 guys to the league every year I was there.
Right. Free agent pickups.
Shoot, my first year at Mario, we had 5 NFL teams that were RIP Big Mario, but we had 5 NFL teams that were in our film room watching Mario. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's just that once we got into this new age market of social media, now you got kids they're sitting there with their family talking about, I'm going to so-and-so, you know what I mean? And the big markets, the ESPNs, now they're in magazines and they're on the websites, and they can do all the flashy stuff, like,
blessed to receive an offer. That's what you see on Twitter all the time.
Like, what? Come on, man. You do realize that?
Happy for you, man. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, come up with your own little thing. Don't be so generic. Like, do your thing, and you ain't gotta be.
But
you ain't gotta be blessed to receive an offer every day.
But I mean, the majority of the best black athletes in America are not going to HBCUs.
No,
that's backwards.
They just not doing it.
I mean, before integration, HBCUs were phenomenal, and even through like the 80s, I'm talking about all the schools, not just Grambling or Southern or Jackson State. I'm talking about, all the schools were competitive, not just in the SWAC, but the MEAC and all over the place.
So one example who, one of my favorite people is the first black head coach in the NFL, Art Shell, who we got to meet as freshmen at Valley. Played for the Oakland Raiders, first black head coach in the NFL, straight out of HBCU, Hall of Fame, left tackle. Next to him, next to Gene Upshaw, in those old school Raider teams in the 70s. Right. The list goes on. Mel Blount from Southern, Aeneas Williams, who played in the late 80s from Southern Hall of Fame, Walter Payton, obviously, from Jackson State, Jerry Rice from Mississippi Valley. The list really goes on and on.
It really does, man.
Grambling, who was another Raider player from Grambling. Grambling had a bunch of them, and Southern did too. Harold Carmichael was another Southern great. Isaiah Robinson. I'm listing them.
No. Let me put this into perspective for people that don't know. The last great SWAC football player that went to the league and made an impact, Tavares Jackson, Alabama State. Think about that though. Can you name one since?
Robert Mathis.
Robert Mathis, A&M, DN. But I mean,
Tavares was after that, and RIP to Tavares too, man. He passed away this year too.
Dang, really?
Yep, in a car accident.
That's right. I remember seeing that
3 or 4 months ago.
Well, we beat them when he was a senior.
Yeah, beat Tavares. Shout out to Aries, Tyrone. They balled out. Proud.
I averaged like 45 yards that game too. So y'all are welcome. Anyway, no, but like the star black athletes don't want to go to HBCUs, and it's something that may, eventually change. But we talked about it, like we played on ESPNU or wasn't it?
That's what it was.
And you still see some of the games on ESPNU. NBC had the deal with Grambling and Southern.
Yeah, Bayou Classic.
I never liked that. I don't like how that was so towards the end of the year.
Trey, you look, chill out. You remember, bro?
No. I'm saying I didn't
on my feed because I'm gonna have to hear about it. I'm stopping that. I'll let you slide. You're not dissing the classic. Now take it back.
I'm not. I'm dissing the timing of it. The timing. Okay. I didn't like how they held the rest of the SWAC hostage because their game was 2 weeks after everyone else had played. You see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't like that.
Me too.
Because that also kept all SWAC schools from going to the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but like I think that for a white kid that went to a HBCU, like there's things that I got there that I wouldn't have gotten at a predominantly white school.
No doubt
like,
about it.
I could still, me and my friends, you, whoever, Russell, we could still drive an hour to Ole Miss or Starkville and experience some of those things that a predominantly white university offers with the parties and whatnot.
I never went to Ole Miss, and I passed by Starkville with I can't even remember, but I went over there one time. Once I saw the campus. But I ain't have to do that because I could just come home and go to all my friends at LSU anyway. So so that was my white college experience, came to tailgating with my friends from high school.
But I mean, and I'm not taking nothing away from that, but it's definitely a different vibe on campus.
Oh man.
And there's certain things that are different. And I'm gonna tell you right now, okay? I wrote this down. Here are some things that are different that when they came to me, I was like, what? Like, what's happening? The first thing that left the biggest impression, man, listen, when I'm inside the stadium and I'm in my, kickers and punters are the first one out. Snappers, right. We're the first ones out. And I'm out there just t-shirts and chilling, right?
Yeah.
So the Valley Band, the Mean Green Marching Machine, they would, our campus made a square. For those of y'all that don't know, Valley's campus made a square, just like this box I'm in right now. So they would start at the furthest end of the square and start marching all the way to the stadium. And it was about 15 minutes of the drum line, and it would get louder and louder and louder. And the energy that I got from the band alone, we could be a Southern and their band would get me hyped up. You know what I mean? Jackson State, wherever. It didn't matter. Any game that I ever went to,
band.
It didn't matter if it was my band or the other team's band. It got me like energized. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even gonna talk about the Southern Dolls or whatever. Listen, dude. They used to walk the dancing dolls right behind where I was.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Because the kickers and punters were hung out at the end. And oh Lord, like I couldn't focus. You know what I'm saying? But
was tapping me on the shoulder, looking at hey.
It was crazy. Some of our coaches would be all like, but anyway, so the band was the first like big thing that I think people miss out on.
No doubt.
The second thing that was really interesting was that the frats and sororities, like I'm walking on the yard, I'm walking on campus, And I'm like, dang, this is cool. They got their little trees and little benches and little sidewalks. I'm like, where's their houses at? They're like, they don't have no houses. I'm like, what? It's like, none of the frats and sororities at Valley had houses.
Right.
Which is weird because predominantly white schools, they got these big mansions, 30 people staying up in there. You know what I mean? Like, that was a different side of things. But I also felt like it was more like this because they didn't have a house. You know what I mean? They didn't have all these like amenities to go along with. It was just them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Tree. That's what they had, a tree.
They had a tree and a part of the sidewalk, and they were represented themselves out in the open in the public, you know. And the frat, like the step shows, man, like my first step show I went to, I was blown away. You know what I mean? It was, but I don't like all the noises them girls and stuff be making. I don't like.
You don't like that ski weed? That's what you like.
I don't like all that. But I was
say nothing about that.
I was asked to be in every single frat at Valley. At one point in my 4.5 years there, I was approached by someone every year. They wanted me to come, you know, pledge it. I was like, I'm not really into it. I just wasn't really into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
But so the basketball games were just like, there's not much to do on campus. So we filled the gym. Coach Stria, man, Coach Lafayette Strickland was one of the best.
Was probably something you could only get at an age.
Right. Like our basketball team, you know, they were winning championships. Like the basketball games, the atmosphere was, and look, I grew up going to Mississippi State basketball games when, you know, Final Four teams, and, you know, we had, you know, top 25 teams every year, but the basketball games and the SWAC were just at that time, it was a very unique experience. And spades. Why do black people like to play spades so much? I don't know. But I learned how to play spades and dominoes like within the first week of being alive. So and not to take away nothing from the white universities, the predominantly white universities, but I feel like that there's such a stereotype at a lot of the big universities, like tailgate, you know, frat parties, sorority parties. And listen, like I said, I'm not taking nothing away from that. It's just nothing excited me about going to a university where they essentially did all the same things I did when I was in high school, my teenage years. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to experience something new. But like I said, man, like I didn't have any preconceived notions going in. I didn't have any perceptions. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just know that my first day on campus, I think I drove up and I was listening to I remember I was listening to Big Timers, Hood Rich. But anyway, like that was just, you know, there's a lot of things that, you know, took from it. But I mean, like, is it weird that like, I don't know, there was a lot of white athletes there, you know what I mean?
We did.
But
a unique bunch for sure.
We had the highest percentage of minorities than any other SWAT school at the time. But anyway, like that's just a little bit. Like I said, I don't know, Young Reed. I mean, I know you said you could have went to a predominantly white university, and I could have too. I had some offers from some JUCOs and you know, small colleges. But I'm saying, like,
I could have easily went to LSU. You know what I'm saying? And I really was going, you know, I had one foot in the door to go to Grambling to go, you know, with Denmark, really. And Denmark was recruited by ULL coming out of high school. I mean, it was USL then, but now it's University of Louisiana Lafayette. And when he decided to go to Grambling over them, I was like, man, what you doing? Like, this your shot at the league. Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, they going to get you in the league. Grambling ain't going to get you. This was my thinking. You know, I didn't really understand. I knew that the HBCUs had a lot of, you know, successful NFL players and all, but the way the recruiter talked to him, I remember it was Coach Rebo, I think, who came to visit, and he was telling me, in 4 years I'm gonna be coming back to get you. Like, I'm like, yeah, man, you need to you need to go back, you need to make this happen. But he went to Grambling, man, won 3 SWAC championships. It was other things that stopped Demar from getting to the league, not his play. But a lot of his teammates had shots, a good bit of them, and
you can get noticed anywhere. I don't care if you're
if you balling, they come in.
Yeah.
And but one name that I failed to mention, and probably my favorite Black football player of all time, right out of Mississippi, is Steve McNair. How could we forget? You know what I'm saying? And the level that he was playing on was better than he was the best player in the country that year, his senior year in college.
Who won the Heisman over him that year?
In '94, Rashawn Salaam from Colorado. Who
Rocket Rashad?
Rashawn Salaam, no, not Rocket.
I'm thinking of Ishmael. Yeah.
Rashawn Salaam from University of Colorado at Boulder, and he was a beast of a running back, and that was like my favorite team because we had took a trip to Colorado, so I was like, yeah, that's my team. But he won it over McNair. But if McNair had been playing in any other conference with predominantly white schools there, he blows it out the water. He had to split the MVP with Peyton Manning in 2003. Now, not saying that Peyton Manning wasn't deserving, but that's the only time there's been a co-MVP is when McNair.
Hey, Louisiana, Mississippi, dog. Louisiana, Mississippi. I'm just saying.
That's us right there. And
by the way, watch out for Arch Manning.
Arch Manning, yeah.
He's son.
Wait, is he committed?
No, he's gonna be a junior.
He's going to LSU, man. You know that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. Watch about 3 or 4 Black receivers transfer to his school next year. Watch. That's
for sure. And just getting it back to those two. It's 2 players that signed with Howard. I forget that. One is the Maker, this tall big man, and the other one is Mikey. I forgot his name. I ain't gonna lie, but it's 2 of them. And
why, Reed? Why aren't more doing it, man?
They might be setting a trend. That's what I'm saying. The shift might be beginning with them. It's gonna take somebody to start it, to kind of make the sacrifice of what comes with all the bag of tricks that comes with going to a PWI, which is, I don't knock Black players, young athletes, from making the decision that they feel is best for them. Right. I don't knock it, but on the other hand, if they don't just focus on themselves and make a decision that's best for them and think about what's best for the entire community and make a sacrifice for individual glory to uplift an entire institution, because the main problem, like at Valley, for example, is lack of funding. So if you get 3 5-star athletes to go to Valley and people filling them seats up, and people paying to come see, the traveling show that Valley was with Rice and Totten, for example. Like, that's gonna bring you money, and they used to
sell out Memorial Stadium.
You can buy all that empty land that's around the school. We could expand. Obviously, we don't. The practice field is.
But it's gotten better. It's gotten better over the years.
I mean, just saying though, improvement of the facilities and things like that. And what does that go back to? Education always, can change things. So if you get the proper funding in the educational institutions, then and I'm going to make you uncomfortable, Reed. I'm going to go ahead and say it. There's been a lot of HBCUs with Black leaders that embezzle. I mean, Reed, huge schools. Paul Quinn. Man. Remember how big Paul Quinn's university was and they went under? Yep. Remember how big? What about Morris Brown in downtown Atlanta? They all of them went under. I think it was Morris Brown or Morehouse. One of the schools in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, went under. You know what I'm saying? That they went bankrupt, and they're shutting down. I play ball at Morris Brown too.
So, but here's my thing to you, Malcolm. I don't think that we should make it like the split screen that we're on right now. It shouldn't be let's all the Black players go to HBCUs, because not saying you're not proud of the HBCUs, But in a way, why don't we encourage more white kids to go to HBCUs? You know what I'm saying?
That's a
Like,
good question, Trey.
because if by a lot of black people saying, it's just my view, right? You know, we went to HBCU, my kids are going to go to HBCU. That's because you're proud of your heritage, right? You're proud of it, and you want your kids to experience that culture, right?
It's a decision that, it's something that I already kind of be talking about with Carissa. Like,
it's a different culture. It is a totally different culture. Like, and I think it's good for white kids who aren't put in that situation to be around it, so they become more comfortable. Like, to be the minority. Quick little funny story. I wasn't at school maybe a few weeks. First little big party outside. I used to love IBC root beer. Like, I used to drink. I didn't. Yeah, and I was drinking a glass bottle of IBC root beer at night, while probably hundreds of people around me were doing a lot worse, drinking actual beer. And
it wasn't hundreds, bro. We was at Valley, so it was
whatever, 50.
It was tens. They tens.
So,
keep them clean though.
So the campus cop like walked straight up to me in a crowd of 10 people, and like grabbed my IBC root beer and threw it on the ground, dog, and broke it and just walked off. I'm like, what are you doing? That was root beer. I was hot.
I remember that.
I was hot. And like we talked about, literally like 2 minutes later, this cat named Antonio from Chicago comes running by with a shirt off, running from the police because he had stolen their golf cart or something, right? So like that was my first experience of like
nightlife.
Would you call that profiling or stereotyping?
Oh yeah, she got you for sure. I remember that because
she's like, this white kid right here thinks he can drink beer.
It just probably thought you was on a Budweiser, bro.
But
that bottle really looked like a Budweiser bottle too, like exactly.
It did. Obviously root beer. And in a way I might have been trying to entice them, but anyway, just to see what would happen.
Right. You got what you were looking for too.
Listen, man.
Look, let me say this, bro, before we move on, because because you talked about white kids recruiting white kids to come.
I think HBCU should recruit more white kids, man. Did you know that universities get more government funding the more minorities they have there?
Diversity, it's a good thing. It pays at least.
Right.
But so
hey, Reed, but mamas and daddies are scared to send their white kids to HBCU.
Man. Now that they are probably more afraid to send their white daughters to HBCU. We ain't even gotta say nothing else.
Unless they're Canadian, because Canadians don't care.
They don't even count.
Canadian chicks came down and married every black dude from Valley.
Where the HBCUs at? In the South mostly, right? Because that's what the majority of our population was when the schools was getting founded. So it's the same. Like Southern is on one end of Baton Rouge and LSU is on the other. So you think they gonna send their children to North Baton Rouge to the zip code in Schuylerville, or the 70805, you gotta pass that up. You gotta go through the 70805 zip code to get to the Schuylerville one. And I promise you, ain't nobody going from South Baton Rouge to North Baton Rouge, you know what I'm saying, for any purposes other than like passing through. Like it really just don't happen. But that's not that's a general statement, because there have been white players that played at Southern. So in particular, I want to name two. I want to name Matt Bushart, who was a punter, just like yourself, who graduated from the first black high school in the state of Louisiana, the McKinley High School. Shout out to Matt. I'm pretty sure he was an all swag punter, just like you as well. He used to boot that thing. He was like 6'5" though, bro. He was a larger person than you were.
Yeah, like Russell.
The other one I want to name is Marcus Jacoby, who was the first white quarterback to start at Southern University. And there was a lot of acceptance of Marcus Jacoby, who went to Catholic High. the biggest school, biggest richest school in the city.
What is he doing now, Reed?
I have no idea, and I might need to.
I was gonna say that's not Jalen and Jacoby, is it?
No.
Okay, I was like, what?
Marcus Jacoby. All right, so Marcus Jacoby did lead Southern to a Black National Championship as well. But when he first got on, Marlon, my brother Marlon, who y'all don't know, is second to oldest Reed brother out of the 5. He was working for the Southern. Well, he was a student, an undergrad student, who was a writer for the Southern Digest, which is their newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Marlon wrote an editorial, bro, about why the white quarterback should not be playing at Southern University. And he got a lot of flack for it. Now, there was a lot of people who were supporting him, myself included. I probably was 12 or 13 at the time, just like this kid that you talked about earlier. Not saying that I was being taught, to have a Confederate flag or on that type of stuff. But at that time, and still to this day, kind of the difference between you being a punter to go play at Mississippi Valley and Matt Busshart being a punter at Southern versus a white quarterback, or like the white head coach at Alcorn that we talked about, being in these leadership positions. I think about on the other side of that, Steve McNair could have played at any school in the nation, but he only was able to go to Alcorn because that was the only place he could play quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like people weren't recruiting him to be in that leadership position, and it was hard for Black coaches, and still is to this day, to get jobs at PWIs. It still happens, and it's happening more and more regularly because people pushing for it. But the main thing that Marlon had an issue with was, we giving this guy a leadership position. He's a transfer. He's not from the community. He had no ties, and Marlon really was the voice of a lot of people who had put that in, who was saying the same types of things. So I look at it differently now. Like I would invite more white people to the HBCU experience.
Right. Hey guys, it's not as bad as you think.
I was definitely like not feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, that's what I'm saying, Reed. Like, I don't want this to create a division of,
right.
Black people got to stand up and we got to just say, forget. I don't want that. I'm not pushing for that. I'm just saying that just going back to the use of their platform, I just think too many young Black athletes don't realize how big of a platform they actually have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They have such a huge platform being superstars at these PWI schools.
Mm-hmm.
And, now with the NCAA loosening their rules, you're going to see, I think it's going to hurt HBCUs even more, and it's only time will tell with that. You know what I'm saying? But I really wish that HBCUs would target more, white kids, white students, and really just not just be for athletics, if that's
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
because you can get a quality education. And anything you talk about, the embezzlement and the scandals that are taking place at HBCUs and the poor choice of leaders, that politics, get involved, because a lot of those people who are put in place by people who are in the state, because most of these are state-run schools.
Mm-hmm.
So they handpick these.
They're basically all state-run schools.
They come in and girls and women who come in and just mess up the program itself and mess up the reputation of the school. Mm-hmm. And then events like last year or a year before, Wade Sims, who was an LSU basketball player, went to Southern for homecoming, right? And he got murdered. He got murdered at the homecoming concert.
White kid.
Black kid,
Black kid from LSU.
Black kid who was a starter on LSU's basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Right before the season started, goes to Southern for the homecoming concert and getting a fight because of his friend and some kid who just from the neighborhood, or not, he was from Baker, but just some young man who got all kind of issues in his life, kills this man, one shot to the head, boom, done. That's old.
Well, I think that's a big perception. That's a big perception, Reed. That a lot of white people think that there's a lot of violence there, and a lot of typical, bad things that happen at these predominantly, black universities and colleges. But that's so far from the truth. And I'm here as an example to let people know that you know the perception that a lot of white people have about HBCUs is totally false. And
Oh man.
like the
Yeah,
oh
ain't
yeah,
no like high schools too, bro. For
listen,
real.
I forgot to tell you this, by the way. Um, my first like week on campus, you know, my first, I mean, 5'10", and I probably grew an inch after my freshman year, but like 5'10", 160-pound white kid. Like the black girls were very aggressive, very overly like aggressive towards me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't prepared for that. I'd just be walking, they'd be like, "Hey, give me your number." I'm like, "What? I don't even know you," or asking me to like
Ain't first.
lift my shirt up to see if I got a six pack and stuff, and just weird, just very aggressive. I think the majority of those girls were probably like from the Delta or something, maybe, I don't know. But
I don't know shit on that.
is would you say that that's true, Reed? Are black girls more aggressive in their demeanor than white girls?
Man, that's an individual. You can only judge that on an individual basis. That's
Well, the
not
ones at Valley were
possible for me to
very
say.
aggressive and upfront.
That might be your experience, but I can't say.
Very aggressive and upfront. It scared me a little bit.
You just might have been a little intimidated and hadn't been exposed to that culture, because I say that that was kind of a Mississippi thing. It ain't like that in Louisiana, bro.
Right. Maybe it was. Maybe it was just but it was crazy because I try to put myself in their mind, like they had never seen a white kid walking on campus
That was
before.
the thing. And then you
So for
had
them, it was like,
you was cool with all the black dudes, like in the football team.
they're like, who's this white kid right here? Like, so I think that's important, not just for white culture, but for the black community as well, to also be engulfed in that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, man, we're
Yeah,
I know you need to. I know you wanted to close with something today, so I'm gonna let you go ahead.
All right. Yep. So good talk though.
Yeah,
Good
man.
talk. Yeah, for sure. A couple things that I wanted to talk about. Three things for tonight as we close out. Some final thoughts. Number one, I wanna wish a happy birthday to my niece, my brother Marlon. And for those of y'all who don't know, my brother Marlon passed away 6 years ago, tragically. So miss him to death. But his daughter's birthday, she made 22 today. And we've been holding down, and she's the only girl in our family. Like I got 4 brothers and 8 nephews and a niece. So so shout out to her. We try our best to take care of her and make her feel special. So I couldn't do our show without acknowledging her and all the great things she's doing, because she is actually the president of the NAACP at her college, which is Albany State University in Georgia. Yeah, so doing big things, making pops proud, holding it down for her little brothers, being a big sister that they could look up to and be proud of. So shout out to Katura Deja Butler Reed. That's our princess. Number 2, a shout out that we could both share is RIP to Stephen Fulbright, our teammate who came to Valley in 2004, was a DB from Daytona, Florida. Lost his battle to stomach cancer 4 years ago to this day. And I remember getting that news, and I had been talking to Fully, like we were still in touch, and he had been, he would hit me up and say, he ain't doing too good, or I check on him, he wasn't, and then he'd be getting better. And
right
then
after D's, that was right after D's.
Yeah, it was right after D's.
It was like D's went, and then Fulbright went as well.
Yep. So but me and Full, like I was cool with D's. D's was a good dude. Everybody know that for sure. But I spent a lot of time with Fulbright, and that was my guy. We used to go at it in one-on-ones all the time too. So he had that kind of wide receiver DB thing. He made me better, and I did the same for him. So I wish that I could talk to him. Prayers go out to his family and all his friends and everybody who knew him. But I wanted to acknowledge that, and also, we got to shout out to Base JJ for who lost his grandmother a couple weeks ago. We with you, homie. We see you.
Yeah.
Shout out to you for being in the comments. As always, that's our brother from the Dirty Eye, a Struma Indian who played on the reservation.
Oh.
And last but not least, today makes 4 years since Alton Sterling was killed. It really was like the night right after Independence Day, July 4th. But on July 5th at 12 o'clock in the morning, Blaine Salamone runs up on Alton Sterling and kills him. And it didn't have to happen because he was just that type of dude, though. Like, that's the kind of guys that we talking about that just don't get it and don't want to get it. You know what I'm saying? So you hate that happened, and it'll be another time we could dive in a little deeper. But man, that happened right by my house on the corner of Austin and Fairfield. Brought the whole world to the hood, CNN and all that. So my elementary school was like right up the street. My grandmother's house was right around the corner. My house was like 5 minutes away growing up. So that was right at home where that happened at, and it happens all the time, and the police don't always kill people, but they will hand you a beat down, and that it happens a lot in my neighborhood. So shout out to Mr. Sterling and his family, and RIP. No, he wasn't perfect. For people who might want to say all that, you know how they go. George Floyd is a bad person and he was a nigga, he's white, whatever. That ain't have to happen. That man was wrong for killing that man, and that's that. And if he was white, he'd probably still be alive. And that's my thoughts on that. So that's all I got. That's all we got. This is the Chestnut Checkers podcast. Trey, you got anything else?
No, man. Like I said, everything's been good, and I'm just glad to keep seeing peaceful protest and unity protest and whatever else. I think it's important that young people in general have the courage to stand up for what they believe in, whether it's right or wrong. Just the freedom in this country that we have to just be able to do that is a wonderful thing. Without all the riots, without all the killings, and without all the mobs and bad stuff. I like seeing more of that. So yeah, man. Let's hope that the world don't blow up in the next week until we talk again live. But yeah, man. Like I said, it's late, but everything's all good, man. I'm gonna go watch some English Premier League soccer that I recorded yesterday and today.
You get a chance too.
Okay.
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate y'all tuning in who watched it live. If you didn't catch this, you can always catch us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all of that. So yeah.
You like that song?
Just go check the audio. I can't hear what you're listening to, bro.
You can't hear that?
No, I don't hear it.
Oh well. All right, peace.
All right, peace. And we out of here. I think we out of here. I'm gonna get us out of here. Click the button. Oh, this button. There it is. All right, y'all. Thank y'all again. Peace.